Hey guys, it's Teaksy here, and finally, welcome to my 250 subscriber Q&A video. We are finally getting it done, finally getting it recorded, and again, all I can say is apologies, it's taken a little while. I think it was over a month ago that I actually did the 250 subscriber video announcing that I wanted to do a Q&A, and here we are, just over a month later, finally getting it done, but obviously just with COVID and falling behind with videos, I just wanted to make sure that this video was the best video it could possibly be, and I'm actually back at my parents' today recording this, which is not normally where I record, so ignore the tractors in the background, and yeah, let's jump into it. So before we get into it, guys, I do just want to say a huge thanks to everybody who submitted questions for this video. I am going to answer every question that was submitted. I'm going to try and get through the video kind of as quickly as I can, but I'm also going to try and kind of answer the questions as thoroughly as possible without kind of waffling on, trying to kind of find that middle ground, if that makes sense. And if I do kind of keep looking like I'm looking to the other screen, it's just because I've got the questions on another screen just to kind of keep reminding me where we're at. So the first question comes from Mark, who says, what are you playing nowadays? Remember you wanted to hit max level of 2,500 in Cold War. So yeah, so to be honest with you, in the last 2 months or so, outside of the time when I had COVID, when I wasn't playing at all, the only real Call of Duty I've been playing is ranked play. I've been having an awful lot of fun with ranked play on Modern Warfare 2. I've played a little bit of Modern Warfare 2 pubs. That's not really by choice, though. I had a friend who was a little bit of a lower rank in ranked play. Had to wait a few days for him to get to the same level as me to be able to play. So we played a little bit of pubs, but outside of that, I've really not touched Call of Duty. Yes, I do want to hit max level, or I did want to hit max level when I came into the new year on Cold War. If I'm being honest, I don't think I'll make it. 2,500 is a lot of levels. I am glad that they did bring that max level kind of cap to Cold War and Vanguard, but I feel like it just came too late for a player like me. So yeah, hoping to get back on Cold War soon to start recording some fresh content. Still going to keep trying to get the highest level I can, but I doubt I'll hit level 2,500 if I'm being honest. So thanks to Mark for that question. So next up, we've got a couple of questions from Pascal Gianotti. Hopefully I've not butchered that pronunciation. Apologies if I have. So the first question is, what do I do for work besides YouTube? So YouTube for me is very much a hobby, something I do in my spare time. I don't earn any money from it. I just kind of do it for the enjoyment, and obviously with you guys, this sort of small community that we're building kind of, motivates me to kind of keep on doing videos. But in terms of actual work, I have recently started a new job at the end of February at an accountancy practice. It's a VAT specific role, doing a lot of VAT returns. And yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying it. It's started really, really well. I did work in finance for 5 years between 2016 and 2021. And then sort of through lockdown decided I wanted to try something new. And that's why a lot of last year I ended up being out of work, because I decided I wanted to go into driving, did some van driving jobs, then got my lorry driving license. But kind of in the end just realised that it wasn't really the career path for me and decided to jump back across to finance. So yeah, I work in finance at the moment. Next up is, what is my favourite Call of Duty ever and why? So there are 3 or 4 titles that are up there for me that could have been number 1, but I always stick with the original Modern Warfare 2. The original Modern Warfare 2 was the first ever Call of Duty I played, specifically online. When I first got it, I was an absolute bot. I had no idea what I was doing. I knew nothing about FPSs. I literally would go 0 and 20 in team deathmatch. I just didn't understand the game whatsoever. But over time, I started to get better, and I think Modern Warfare 2, the original, was probably the biggest change in skill for me. I think you always improve at a Call of Duty over the year as you get used to it. But with that one, I went from being a bot, and by the end of it, I could drop nukes. It was like the biggest kind of progression in one game. But it was also just, I don't know, it just had so many iconic maps, iconic weapons, obviously an amazing kill streak system, so many different game modes you could play. It was the one game as well that I had so many friends play it. There are so many people that I had on my friends list on Modern Warfare 2, whether it was people I was at school with, or people that I met online, or people that I knew in other kind of walks of life, that played Modern Warfare 2 like loads and then never touched Call of Duty really ever again after that. It was just something about that COD, and obviously private matches and quickscoping on Rust, and playing Mike Myers and getting in modded lobbies and getting out of maps. Honestly, just so much fun was had in that game. And I could talk for hours now as well. But yeah, my favourite Call of Duty ever and why is the original Modern Warfare 2. So the next question is, what is my least favourite Call of Duty and why? So my least favourite Call of Duty is definitely Infinite Warfare. But whenever I talk about Infinite Warfare, I'm always quite fair in saying that the game just came out at a really, really bad time for me personally. About halfway through the Black Ops 3 cycle, maybe even 3/4 of the way through the Black Ops 3 cycle, I met my girlfriend Jazz, and we're still together now, coming up on 7 years somehow. No, it's all good. Yeah, I just kind of, when I got with her, I just completely stopped playing Call of Duty. Was just doing lots of other things, and then by the time kind of the winter came around and Infinite Warfare dropped, I was kind of ready to get back into it, start playing COD again. But I just didn't like it. I just didn't give the game much of a chance. I really didn't play it that much. I wasn't very good at it, and I've always sort of said if I went directly from Black Ops 3 into Infinite Warfare and gave the game a chance, I think I would have had a lot of fun with it. But ultimately, it's always my least favourite COD because I just didn't play it that much, and the time I did spend on it, I really just didn't enjoy it at all. Next up, he asks, what is the worst COD? I think this can be different from your least favourite. I would agree, and the worst COD in my opinion, and it's quite close between Vanguard and the most current Modern Warfare 2, but I have to give it to the most current Modern Warfare 2, and I'm not just saying that. If you took ranked play out of the current Call of Duty, I have zero interest, zero motivation to play the game. I don't have any fun in pubs. Fundamentally, so many things that are wrong with the game, and I know that Vanguard itself, especially at the start of the game, pubs was dreadful, it's just OP shotguns and stuff. But I think overall, Vanguard just had a few little things that kind of helped the game for me. Whereas Modern Warfare 2, they've done so many things in that game that they did in Modern Warfare 2019 that people moaned about, and then they've just gone and done it again. But then they've done stuff like they've edited the perk system as well. And I just think it depends a lot on how long you've been playing Call of Duty. There's just things in COD that I like to see, Ninja as a perk, an actual perk system that's decent, a good spawn system, and I just feel like the game just doesn't have that. And for me, it is, in my opinion, the worst Call of Duty that I've ever played. But because of ranked play, I have had some of that enjoyment, which is probably why I think it's the worst COD. But I wouldn't say it's my least favourite COD, because Infinite Warfare, I just didn't have that much fun. It's kind of weird. I understand. It probably sounds like if I'm saying this is the worst COD, wouldn't it be my least favourite? But yeah, no, I think it can be different. I do agree. And the last question is, how old am I? I'm 27, and I'll be 28 in December. So I've got a little while yet, but 27 at the moment. Right, so next up we've got two questions from VVVTTT. The first question is, are there any other games you've liked as much or more than Call of Duty? So I think growing up, I always kind of consider myself to be a bit of a boring gamer. I never really branched out that much to other games. I had the Formula 1 games every year. I had FIFA every year. I had some racing games I was into, like Race Driver Grid and kind of Forza Motorsport I played for quite a few years. But there's never really been a game like Call of Duty, that's kind of gripped me and kept bringing me back every year. Even when they make a bad one, you still come back the next year. You still get on that hype train every year. And I think as well, the Call of Duties that I've liked and the Call of Duties that I've loved the most, they're just, you can just keep playing and playing and playing. The replayability value of a good Call of Duty is, for me, way above any other game that I've ever played. And like I say, there's other games that I've enjoyed, but I would say that when they get a Call of Duty right, there's nothing better for me than just continuously playing that game. Stuff like Modern Warfare 2, the original, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 3, even Black Ops Cold War, can just kind of just put so many hours into the game and still kind of keep getting those, getting that reward from the game, just enjoying it. And yeah, I wouldn't say there's anything that comes close to COD, really. And the second question is, what else do I enjoy doing besides gaming? So I'm pretty chill, pretty relaxed. I enjoy watching films, TV shows, just kind of chilling out. Big into music, and I love going to a concert. Enjoy doing things with Jazz. If she sees this, she'll sound lying, and I probably should do more things with her. But no, I just enjoy chilling out and just doing things. And I probably should do more. I do like being at home. I think I've always been someone who's liked being at home, but I think even through lockdown that kind of made it worse, I guess, for me. And yeah, I'm into Formula 1, into football. Enjoy keeping up with stuff like that. But yeah, just kind of just gaming, chilling out. I don't get up to too much. I'm not too exciting, I'll be honest. But yeah, that's kind of all I can say really on that one. So next up, we've got some questions from Interesting YT Observer. I'm going to assume that's Interesting YouTube Observer. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. Who has asked quite a lot of questions. So I'm going to try and get through these the best I can. So firstly, what was your first Call of Duty game / FPS? So my first FPS was probably either Medal of Honor Vanguard or Call of Duty World at War on the PlayStation 2. They were just single player campaign games only. In terms of what was my first COD game, as I said earlier, Modern Warfare 2, the original, was my first sort of proper online Call of Duty game. But I guess officially my first COD game was World at War on the PS2. Next up, what is the best pistol in Cold War? So I think every pistol in Cold War is decent. You know, probably the Magnums are my least favourite, but the 1911s are viable, the Diamatti is viable, the AMP-63s are viable, but ultimately, if you can perfect the Marshalls, they are the best pistol in the game. I mean, they're horrible, I hate them, you hear me moan about them in so many different videos, but they're so powerful up close, and that generally tends to be when you're using pistols. So if you can master the Marshalls, they are without doubt the best pistol in Black Ops Cold War, in my opinion. Next up, do you ever play Warzone or Warzone 2? If you don't play it anymore, when and why did you stop? So, Warzone 2, I'll admit, I played 1 or 2 games when it first dropped and went, this is terrible, I'm not playing it, and I've not touched it since. The original Warzone, I had endless amount of fun on that game. I think it helped. I'm not saying that Warzone wouldn't have been successful without lockdown, but I think it helped for me personally getting back into COD, and just so many people were on that are not normally on, always had someone to play with. And the original Warzone was just so much fun. You know, the main squad that I played with as well were not kind of a sweaty squad. We just kind of had fun with it, and, you know, just had some brilliant memories from it. You know, put quite a lot of time into it. Kind of stopped playing it around the time Cold War came out, because that was when I started to get a bit more into multiplayer. I think the world was starting to return to a little bit of normality, so some people were kind of had stopped playing by that point. And then I think as well, like, it was starting to get quite competitive as well, Warzone at that point. Everyone knew kind of how to play, you know, what were the best meta classes. So, yeah, that's kind of when I stopped. And like I said, I just don't think Warzone 2 for me has ever really looked like being anywhere near Warzone 1. But also, I've always considered myself to be a multiplayer person over Warzone. I enjoyed it in that early stages, but multiplayer for me always will win out. What is the best thing about Modern Warfare 2019 and or Vanguard? Now, that's a difficult question, because those were not really my favourite Call of Duties ever, but I'd probably say I did enjoy the movement. You know, I think it's nice that we have moved away from slide cancelling now. I hate auto tac sprint. I will admit I do hate tac sprint. Obviously that is in Modern Warfare 2 as well. I think that's why I got on with Black Ops Cold War so much, because you didn't have tac sprint and you kind of had slide cancelling, but it was a little bit more, I don't know, the movement was a little bit more stiff in Cold War, if that kind of makes sense. It weren't quite as fluid, but I don't know, it felt like that suited me a bit more. But if I had to say a good thing about Modern Warfare 29 and Vanguard, I did enjoy the movement. It was fluid, you know, you could get into quite a fast flow state, you know, running around the map, just kind of gliding almost around the map. So yeah, if I had to pick something, I'd probably say the movement from those two games. Next up is, what is my favourite Call of Duty campaign? So I've always been a bit lackluster on campaigns, and I do hope to at some point in the future go back, play some old campaigns, kind of make that part of the YouTube channel somehow, you know, with the COD Nostalgia series that I'm hoping to do at some point. That was, doing campaigns was definitely something I wanted to do in that. But yeah, I've not really played that many COD campaigns. The campaigns I did definitely play though, COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, kind of, they all joined together with the same story. So if I had to pick one, I'd probably say Call of Duty 4. I just think, when I think of campaigns, I think of some of the COD 4 missions, you know, like All Gillied Up. That was such a brilliant mission. I feel like it's one that everybody knows from Call of Duty. And I think as well, like, I don't know, I just haven't played that many campaigns, so it's hard to choose, but if I had to choose, I'd definitely say Call of Duty 4. So next up, asks, do I have any pets? So yes, I do. So at Jazz's house, we have a dog called Nelly. She's like a Staffy cross American Bulldog. She's absolutely mental, crazy, but absolutely love her to bits. And then at my parents' house, we've got quite a few cats. We did have loads at one point. I won't go into the story. We did have a lot at one point. Unfortunately, the two main ones that we had, Kimmy and Bobby, unfortunately passed away in the past few years. But we still do have a couple of cats, you know, a few outdoors, a few indoors. So, yeah, kind of got a bit of a mix. Cats at my parents and a dog at Jazz's house. And then lastly, what is my favourite map? Doesn't have to be in Cold War. So, It's very difficult because I think there's been some brilliant Call of Duty maps over the years, and I think certain maps, fit certain games. So, if you loved a certain game, it might be you love that map. Would it work in another Call of Duty? I don't know. It's like Apocalypse and Yamantau. I love those maps in Cold War, but are they enough to be like my favourite maps of all time? I'd probably have to say something from the original Modern Warfare 2, like High Rise, Scrapyard, Terminal, Favela. Between those four, I would say I absolutely love those maps. I think they're all iconic maps. If you mention those maps to any big Call of Duty fan, everybody knows them, everyone remembers them. So yeah, it's difficult to pick a favourite. I'll say Favela just for the sake of the video, but I think, Scrapyard, Terminal, High Rise have all got to be up there. But there's still amazing maps on BO1 and Cold War and Modern Warfare 3 that I loved as well. Yeah, there's so many good ones. It's really hard to kind of put it into a list, I would say. Okay, so we're now going to move into the second batch of questions from interesting YouTube observers. So firstly, we've got, what tips would you give to players wanting to improve? Because the best I do in shooters is a 1.5 KD most of the time, which is only okay. So firstly, I think 1.5 KD is good. Do not be like ashamed of a 1.5. 1.5 is still very, very decent, specifically in the sort of skill-based matchmaking world that we live in now. In terms of what tips would I give players, I never really like to say too much about how to play COD because I've always considered myself to be a good player, but there's so many other good players out there. I don't consider myself to be like a god or anything absolutely crazily special. But I think the best thing of Call of Duty is just to learn the game modes, learn how each game mode works, and then how the spawns work in those modes. Learn the maps. And really, it's just about being able to predict and be able to just very quickly in the game just think about where they're going to spawn next, what kind of routes they're going to take, and because of that, you can then get yourself into better positions. And just generally, just the more knowledge you have about the game and how the game works can just allow you to know when to play fast, know when to play slow, know when to just hold an angle. It helps you to get into the more kind of the better spots on the map, and yeah, I think that's all you can do is just the more knowledge you have about the game, and obviously just and I think as well just playing against bots sometimes just to get in the rhythm and get your accuracy up. But yeah, outside of that, I think just the more time you put in and the more you know about the game, I think can definitely help you improve. Next up, have you ever tried keyboard and mouse? I suck at keyboard, lol. I actually have. I did some challenge videos last year. I think somewhere I played without aim assist, played on the lowest FOV, stuff like that. And there was meant to be a keyboard and mouse video, but when I was recording it, I just could not get my audio set up right where you couldn't hear my mouse or keyboard. I tried so many different things, and whatever I did, I just couldn't get it to work. But yeah, I did try it, and I am also absolutely terrible. I cannot use keyboard and mouse at all. I've never really cared what people use. I think there are good controller players, there are good keyboard and mouse players, kind of just get on with it. But I will say I do, appreciate the skill it takes to use keyboard and mouse, because I can't. I'm absolutely terrible at it. So yeah, I have used it, and I'm also awful. What's the worst map ever? Mine has to be Stormfront. You literally can't see anyone without a thermal scope. Yeah, that is definitely a good point about Stormfront. I think, again, like with the good maps, there's equally been just as many bad maps over the year. I think the border crossing map on Modern Warfare 2 has got to be hands down the worst Call of Duty map that I've ever played on. But generally speaking, I think a lot of the bad maps in COD is just down to size. When you think back to like the original Modern Warfare 2, like the map Fuel, there was just so much of that map that just didn't get used. And I think just any map that's built for like ground war or 10v10 that gets used in a 6v6 setting, has got to be up there. Because, the worst thing you want on COD is a big map where you're running around for ages just trying to find people, and then eventually you've ran around for like a minute and then you die. Yeah. So there's a lot of bad maps out there. I'd probably say the border crossing one off the top of my head's got to be the worst, but yeah, probably any map that's kind of big over the years is just not for me. So next question is, would you ever play with viewers? So it's definitely something that I want to do. I think we are slowly starting to build a community here on the channel. I think even doing this video and you guys submitting questions kind of shows me that we have got a bit of a small community starting to build here. Right now, I'm just kind of focused on doing my own thing, just kind of trying to enjoy myself, kind of upload when I can, thinking of ways to try and improve the channel. But definitely in the future, I would definitely be looking to try and play with viewers. You know, I think at the moment one of the big things is I just don't have a consistent schedule. I don't stream. I don't have a set day or time when I play. So I just find it easy to kind of do my own thing. But definitely in the future, you know, playing with viewers and getting more involved with you guys is definitely something that I want to look at doing. Next up, what are my overall thoughts on Black Ops 1? One of my all-time favourite Call of Duties. I absolutely loved Black Ops 1. You know, following on from Modern Warfare 2, which was a great game. It was always going to be difficult, and I just think Black Ops 1, they just nailed it. I just absolutely love that game. One of the best versions of Demolition you will ever play. Some of the spawn killing and spawn trapping that went on in that game was crazy. You know, dropping 100 kill games on people for fun. People playing split screen, and you're just battering them in the spawn. Hovering over the spawn with a gunship. Like, honestly, no spawn protection. It was just... yeah, it was ridiculous how much you could destroy people on that game. Some great maps, you know, Radiation, Summit, you know, what else was there off the top of my head? I'm struggling. Firing Range, Launch, you know, there's just, yeah, it's just WMD, you know, so many great maps on that game, so many great guns, an amazing gold camo, you know, wager matches, all that stuff. It was just, yeah, honestly, just absolutely loved Black Ops 1, and it's so close to being up there with Modern Warfare 2 for me. But Modern Warfare 2 will always hold the #1 spot, but Black Ops 1 could easily have been in there as well. And last question is, how many players do you think would be perfect for Cold War? Would you increase or decrease the player count? Wasn't BO4 5v5? So I'm pretty sure that BO4 was 6v6 in pubs. I think it was 5v5 for competitive. And obviously competitive has returned now to 4v4. And for me personally, I think competitive gameplay does suit 4v4. I didn't really play much during the 5v5 stage, but for me, I think 4v4 has always just been a good setting. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 6v6 in pubs. Same thing with Cold War. I think 6v6 is perfect in Call of Duty. Sometimes it can be nice to play the mosh pit modes or play 10v10 or 12v12. But I think on the right maps, on the right games, 6v6 is all you need, in my opinion. So thank you very much to Interesting YouTube Observer for all of those questions. And hopefully I answered them the best I possibly could. And we're now going to move on to the last two questions we've got that come from Kip2K. So the first one is, what is your favourite moment you've had in any Call of Duty? So it's really difficult for me to remember every single moment. I've played so much Call of Duty over the years. I haven't always recorded everything. But I think any moment where you get that dopamine release from having a good game, whether it be dropping a nuke, whether it be spawn trapping the hell out of a team, dropping crazy numbers, whatever it may be, the fact of the matter is you can get that feeling on any Call of Duty if you get it right, and it's a feeling that never gets old. Over all the years, you can just keep hunting for that feeling of having an amazing game, and I think anytime you have a game where you're like, your adrenaline's pumping and you feel actually buzzed and hyped up after the game, you know, I think any moment like that, and I think that's why Call of Duty's always been so good, because even on the worst Call of Duty, if you, like in Vanguard, I only dropped one V2 rocket, but the one game I dropped the V2 rocket, that feeling was just so good. And yeah, just constantly chasing that on Call of Duty on any COD is definitely probably what is most enjoyable about the game. But for an actual exact moment, very difficult for me to remember an exact moment that stands out. And the last question is, what YouTubers inspired me to start posting on YouTube? So I wouldn't say that anyone inspired me before I started. I think that through lockdown, I very much got into YouTube. I wasn't really that big into YouTube before it. You know, I was watching Warzone videos every single day, like Nick Merckx and Swag. You know, they were daily uploads, and because I was kind of returning to COD after some time out, I was pretty bad at it, so I was always looking to see what the good class setups were and always trying to improve at the game, specifically at Warzone. But I think since I've been on YouTube, I mean, I think Scump is, you know, in terms of Call of Duty content creation, you know, I think he's like the king. He is up there, like, for someone you look up to and think, you know, of what he's managed to build off the back of Call of Duty. I think Dismo is another one that I really like. I think that, you know, I think his videos are so entertaining. He's got such a good knowledge about Call of Duty. He's such a good player, has so much fun in his videos, but there's not an ego there. He just enjoys himself, and he just enjoys having fun on Call of Duty. And again, just no matter how many numbers and how many subscribers he gets, you know, he's still himself, and I think that's brilliant. And I think probably in more recent times as well, somebody like Prey, I think he's been absolutely smashing it on the S&D content. And I think as well, like, over the last 3 or 4 years, the Call of Duties haven't been that amazing, and everybody's saying COD's dying and that it's very difficult to to build in this day and age, but he's been smashing it, and he's been showing that if you're committed to something and you enjoy doing something and you're consistent, you can still grow, you know, even in a stage when the game's maybe not that popular. So yeah, I'd probably say between those three for slightly different reasons, but yeah, definitely Scum, Dismo and Prey, I would say, and obviously they all do multiplayer content as well, more than sort of any Warzone stuff. So yeah, that brings us to the end of the Q&A video, guys. I've had a lot of fun recording this video, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed it as well. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section if you've got any extra questions that you thought of, or anything you want to say based on the answers I gave, then do let me know down in the comment section below. But other than that, guys, all I've got to say is I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please do hit the like button down below. If you are brand new around here and want to find your way back for more, please do consider subscribing to the channel. And as always, guys, I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.